I worked my entire life for a bit of peace and a place to call my own until my sister used a stolen key to break into my house. But when I called the police, I instantly became the villain. Let's just get one thing out of the way. I didn't call the cops on my family because I wanted drama. I called the cops because my sister broke into my house and moved her family in without any permission. But to understand how we got to that level of chaos, you need to know where it started, and spoiler alert, it wasn't with the break-in. It started with being treated like I was never the daughter who counted. I'm Kate. I'm 27, female, single, and surprisingly functional despite what my parents think. I grew up in the shadow of my older sister Anna, who is 3 years older, perpetually spoiled, and still somehow the sun in my parents' solar system. Even back when we were kids, the favoritism wasn't subtle. Anna got birthday parties that looked like Pinterest boards. Ponies, clowns, bounce houses. I got pizza and store-brand cake in our dining room, and it never changed. When I graduated from high school with honors and AP credits, I was ecstatic to go to college. I had dreams, drive, and a solid plan. I'd stay at home to save money, commute to the nearby university, and make it work. But my parents, they laughed. Literally. My mom looked at me like I was a foreign exchange student who misunderstood the rules. If you stay here, she said, you'll need to contribute. Anna got a full ride because she earned it. You need to learn responsibility. And by contribute, she meant $400 a month in rent and bills. As an 18-year-old part-time bookseller making $9 per hour, that meant goodbye groceries, goodbye social life, and goodbye any kind of breathing room. While I ate ramen and skipped meals, Anna was off at an out-of-state school my parents paid for, dorm and all, complaining about the AC not being cold enough. My parents sent her monthly care packages while I drank stale bookstore break room coffee and wore thrift store hoodies. She had a graduation party with a DJ and catering. I got lasagna, and we don't want to make a fuss. So yeah, I moved out the second I could afford it. Rented a shoebox apartment, worked full-time, and slowly clawed my way up. I saved every penny, dodged debt, and finally started house hunting. Quietly, because if there's one thing I learned growing up, it's that the moment my family knows I have something good, they'll try to make it about Anna. And surprise, they found out anyway. A nosy coworker blabbed, and the next thing I know, my mom's calling me like I just got engaged. You didn't tell us you were buying a house, she said, syrupy sweet. I said I was just browsing. Big mistake. Suddenly, I'm getting daily messages with 5-bedroom Zillow listings from my mom and Anna. Listings with pools, finished basements, and perfect space for Josh's man cave. They weren't house hunting for me. They were shopping for Anna's family. It was absurd. I told them, repeatedly, that I was looking for something small, just for me. They ignored it. So I ghosted, stopped replying, muted the group chat, found my dream. A cozy 2-bedroom cottage just outside the city. Quaint, affordable, and mine. I closed the deal without a peep. Then came the inevitable dinner invitation. I decided to go, to rip the Band-Aid off, to tell them. I showed up, sat through the usual parade of complaints about gas prices, Anna's chaotic motherhood tales, and Josh's work woes. Then my mom said it. We found the perfect house for you. And Anna chimed in. It's just down the street from us. 5 bedrooms. Huge yard. That's when I dropped it. I already bought a house. Silence. Actual, dead, jaw-dropping silence. And just like that, the chaos started. So let's pick up where we left off. Me at dinner, casually dropping the fact that I bought a house, and watching my family short-circuit like I'd announced I was moving to the moon. My mom's wine glass hit the table so fast I thought it might shatter. Anna blinked like I just told her I was dating her husband. Josh, her husband, actually looked offended, like he was the one betrayed. You bought a house? Mom finally managed. Without telling us? I nodded. Calm. Collected. Meanwhile, my inner child was curled in the fetal position, bracing for emotional shrapnel. Why wouldn't you say anything? Anna asked. We could have helped. Because it's my house, I said. I wanted something small, just for me. Cue the outrage, the accusations, the dramatic gasp from Mom, followed by the classic line. We're family, Kate. We're supposed to do things together. I smiled and said, funny. Didn't feel that way growing up. Mike, drop. Mom left the table. Anna sulked like I'd stolen her birthday. Josh started ranting about how irresponsible it was for me to make a major investment without involving people who knew better. I reminded him that I'm literally the one with a stable job and a mortgage. Unlike him, who's on his third startup in 5 years. I left before dessert. And that should have been the end of it. Awkward dinner, dramatic exit, cold shoulders at Christmas. The usual. But no. This family doesn't just stew, they scheme. A week later, I was at work, running late on lunch and fantasizing about leftover curry when I got a call from my neighbor. "Hey, Kate? Just wanted to check, did you rent your house out to someone?" she asked. Cue full body panic. I said no, obviously. She said there were people, a woman, a man, and 2 kids moving things into my house. Through the side door. Like they owned the place. I drove like a maniac. Heart in my throat. Called the police from the car. I had no idea what I'd walk into, but breaking and entering wasn't on my weekend to-do list. When I pulled up, sure enough, there they were, Anna, Josh, and their kids. Inside my house. Anna was fluffing a pillow on my couch. Josh was unloading boxes from the trunk of his beat-up SUV. Their kids were running around barefoot on my hardwood floors. I didn't even get out of the car. I let the cops handle it. They arrived 10 minutes later. I showed them my deed, my ID, everything. Anna dared to say she had a key. Which, surprise, she did. A spare I'd given my mom just in case. My mom gave it to her. Behind my back. Josh tried to argue. Said they thought I was just being dramatic about needing space. That it was only temporary. That their apartment lease was ending and they were figuring things out. I reminded them that I'm not a doormat. The officers escorted them out. No arrests, thankfully, for the kids' sake, but they were told in no uncertain terms that if they tried that again, it would be criminal. Anna cried. Josh cursed. I stood on my porch, dead silent, arms crossed. Mom showed up halfway through the commotion, hysterical and blaming me. "You called the police on your sister?" "Yes," I said. "Because she broke into my house." Silence again. Only this time it was mine. And it felt good. But oh, you better believe it didn't end there. This family? They're just getting warmed up. You'd think being caught breaking into someone's home would inspire a little humility. A touch of remorse. Maybe even a slice of awkward silence. But if you thought that, you haven't met my family. The very next day, my phone blew up. First, a group text from my mom, "We need to talk. Things got out of hand." "You don't say, Mom." Then a long-winded email from Anna titled, "Trying to Understand." The body was 4 paragraphs of pure delusion. She admitted to entering my house, but claimed it was a misunderstanding. That she thought I was just being stubborn and needed a gentle push. Like trespassing with 2 children in tow and a moving truck is some kind of quirky intervention. Josh? Oh, he posted a status on Facebook. A vague one, of course. Something about family being cruel, money changing people, and how sad it is when some folks forget where they came from. Comments were flooded with sympathy. People offering prayers. People I hadn't spoken to in years suddenly DMing me like I owed them an explanation. My cousin even posted, "Blood is thicker than pride." I was livid. I spent my lunch break drafting a response that I never sent. But what I did do was block every number that wasn't essential. Then I sent one message, directly to Anna. "You made your choice. Stay out of my house and stay out of my life." No reply. But the silence? It was golden. Until it wasn't. Because they couldn't let it go. The following weekend I went to a farmer's market with a friend, innocent, calm, distraction therapy. We were walking past a jam stand when I hear someone yell, "There she is." I turned around and saw her. My mom. Looking like she just got cast in a soap opera about betrayal and broken dreams. She marched right up, no hesitation. "How could you?" she snapped, right in public. "Do you know what you've done to this family?" My friend stepped back, stunned. I blinked. "Excuse me. You've humiliated your sister. You've embarrassed me. You're tearing this family apart over a house." I calmly said no. "I'm drawing a boundary over my house which your daughter broke into. She needed help, Kate. You have more than you need. Why can't you be generous for once in your life?" "Because generosity isn't a door you kick in," I snapped. "It's something you ask for." Respectfully. She tried to argue, but I walked away. My friend followed, jaw still on the floor. And that should have been it, right? But this family doesn't just crash through boundaries, they napalm them. Because just a few days later, I got a letter in the mail. A formal one. From a lawyer. Anna and Josh were threatening legal action. For what, you ask? Unlawful eviction and emotional distress. I laughed so hard I nearly pulled something. They weren't just bold. They were delusional. But fine. If they wanted a war, I'd give them one. Because I kept receipts. And I wasn't playing nice anymore. Update. So remember that ridiculous letter I got from Anna and Josh's lawyer? The one where they claimed emotional distress and unlawful eviction because I checked notes, kicked them out of my house after they broke in? Yeah. Well, turns out you can't just make up your laws and hope a judge goes, "Oh, that's adorable. Approved." First, I thought it was a bluff. Like surely they wouldn't actually take this to court, right? Wrong. They were dead serious. I showed the letter to my friend, who happens to know a real estate attorney. She took one look at it and said, "Okay, this is either a prank or they found this on Google Docs under delusions of grandeur." But she also said, "Don't ignore it. People this entitled don't usually back down until they're embarrassed in writing." So I lawyered up. Yes, it costs money. Yes, it was annoying. But it was also worth every cent. I handed over screenshots, texts, call logs, even a Nest camera clip of them walking into my house like they were auditioning for an HGTV break-in special. My lawyer drafted a response that was so beautifully professional, it made me want to frame it. The tone? Calm. Collected. Utterly devastating. We not only refuted their claims, we threatened a countersuit. Trespassing. Damages. Emotional trauma on my end. Boom. 1 week later, their lawyer sent a withdrawal notice. No court. No further communication. Just quiet. But don't get too comfortable, the saga didn't end there. Being legally smacked with reality didn't humble Anna. Nope. It infuriated her. So much so that she took her drama to the extended family. Suddenly, Aunt Carol was calling me, tearfully asking why I was tearing the family apart. Uncle Dennis sent me a long-winded message about forgiveness. And don't even get me started on the cousins group chat. Let's just say I left that digital dumpster fire real fast. Then came the cherry on top. A GoFundMe. I am not kidding. Anna created a GoFundMe titled, "Help Us Rebuild What Was Taken." She framed it like they'd been victims of a natural disaster, not a criminal trespass. Claimed they were unjustly removed from their future home, and were struggling to support 2 young children after a betrayal by a loved one. I nearly choked on my tea. She used a photo of her kids looking sad on a couch. My couch, by the way, from the day of the break-in. How she still had that picture is beyond me, but she thought guilt bait was her best bet. People donated. Not much, maybe $400 total. But still, the fact that anyone bought into it at all had me rage cleaning my kitchen and ranting to my cat. At this point, I decided it was time to do one final thing. Something I should have done long ago. I went on no contact. I blocked every number, unfriended every family member who couldn't keep their opinions to themselves, and made peace with the fact that I would probably be the villain in their story. And you know what? That's fine. If being the villain means standing up for myself, protecting my peace, and refusing to be walked over anymore, then let them call me whatever they want. Because at least I'm the one writing my own story now. Going no contact was supposed to be the end. I was ready to move on with my life, resume my peaceful routines, and enjoy the house I worked so hard to buy. Minus the surprise visits, legal threats, and emotionally manipulative theatrics. But like a horror movie villain in the 3rd act, my sister just couldn't stay gone. 2 weeks after the GoFundMe drama, I got a package. No return address. Just a manila envelope in my mailbox. First, I assumed it was junk. But when I opened it, my stomach dropped. Inside was a printed photo album. Yes, a literal, glossy photo album. Titled, "What Family Used to Be." On the cover, a picture of me and Anna as kids, dressed in matching Halloween costumes. Inside, pages filled with old photos, captions in Mom's handwriting, and highlighted lines like, "Sisters Forever," and "Family Above All." I stared at it for a full 5 minutes before I threw it in the trash. The message was clear: guilt. This wasn't an apology. It was a carefully curated nostalgia bomb designed to make me second-guess my boundaries. It didn't work. But apparently, Anna was determined to try everything before letting me live in peace. Because next, she showed up in person. It was a Sunday morning. I was in the middle of vacuuming when I heard knocking. Not just a tap. It was that specific kind of knock that says, "I'm not leaving." I checked the ring cam, and there she was, standing on my porch like this was just another casual drop-by. I didn't open the door. Instead, I turned on the intercom and said, "You need to leave." She tried the soft voice. "Kate, please. Just 5 minutes." "No, this is trespassing. Leave or I'll call the cops again." She froze for a second. Then said, "You really think you're better than us now? Because you have a house and a job? You think that makes you superior?" "No," I said. "It makes me safe. Something you clearly don't care about." She stormed off, cursing me loud enough for the neighbors to hear. I stood there, hands shaking, not from fear, but from fury. That she still believed this was about things, not trust. That she thought showing up uninvited after everything she pulled would somehow fix what she shattered. The next day, I filed for a restraining order. It was approved. That was the actual end. Or so I thought. Because this week, something weird happened. My mom sent me a letter again, no return address. But it wasn't angry. It wasn't dramatic. It wasn't manipulative. It was quiet. Just one page. No perfume. No photos. Just her handwriting. I'm sorry. I let it happen. I didn't protect you. I didn't see you. And I see that now. I don't expect forgiveness. I just wanted you to know. I read it twice. Then I folded it and put it in a drawer. Not because I'm ready to forgive, but because maybe, just maybe, someone finally learned something. And as for me, I'm moving on. With locked doors, a quiet home, and no family members breaking and entering. After my mom's letter, I sat with a strange mix of emotions. Not relief. Not sadness. Something in between, like my past was trying to knock one more time before I bolted the door shut for good. Her words were unexpected. Honest even. But they didn't undo anything. They didn't erase the years of favoritism, the way she handed over my spare key like it was a party favor, or how she made me the villain for protecting my own space. Still, I didn't throw the letter out. Maybe that means something. Or maybe I just needed proof that someone, anyone, finally acknowledged what I went through. But here's the truth, that moment didn't come with a dramatic soundtrack or a movie-worthy reconciliation. It came with me sitting alone in my house, sipping tea in the silence I fought tooth and nail to protect. And it felt good. Peaceful. Real. See, this whole thing wasn't just about a house. It wasn't even about the break-in, or the GoFundMe, or the lawyer letters. It was about me finally choosing myself, not the version of me that twisted into a pretzel trying to be good enough for them, but the version that said, no more. No more guilt. No more forced reunions. No more playing the side character in my own story. I know some people will say, but they're your family. And to that I say, family isn't who shares your DNA. Family is those who show up, respect your boundaries, and don't treat your life like it's theirs to control. I'm not bitter. I'm not angry. I'm just done. I built a life where I feel safe. Where my space is sacred. Where no one thinks it's okay to steamroll my boundaries and call it love. And that's a kind of freedom I wouldn't trade for anything. And if you've ever been the black sheep, the scapegoat, or the problem child just for wanting basic respect, hear me loud and clear. You're not wrong for walking away. You're not heartless for choosing peace. And you are absolutely not the villain for saying, this far, no further. So what would you do if your own family crossed every line you ever drew? Would you forgive them? Would you ever let them back in? Let me know in the comments. And if you've ever had to cut ties to keep your sanity, I see you. I get it. And I hope you know you deserve better. Hope you enjoyed this story as much as I do. Help this small channel grow by hitting that like button, subscribing, and sharing with your friends. Every bit of support means the world. Thanks for watching and see you in the next one.